You don't need to see the whole staircase to take your first step. You just need faith to move forward. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Doors that you never imagined would open begin to open. People who align with your purpose show up. Opportunities unfold. Faith doesn't make the journey easy, but it makes it possible.
Welcome, champions, to another Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich training brought to you by Champion Circle, which Champion Circle, as we all know, is where business owners and leaders come together to accelerate their growth through accountability and meaningful connections. With exclusive membership, you'll gain access to monthly roundtables and personalized coaching, all designed to help you achieve your goals and foster valuable relationships. Champion Circle isn't just a community. It's a movement to empower entrepreneurs to lead with purpose and results. To learn more about how you can succeed, go ahead and visit our website, mychampioncircle.com. Be the champion you were meant to be. And I am very excited that we get to jump into our wonderful training today, which is the second month which we jump into the principle of faith, which faith, as Napoleon Hill talks about, is the second step in order to really think and grow rich. And I'm excited to be able to bring on several speakers as well as myself later in this session to be able to speak to you on this principle of faith. First and foremost, we're going to jump into Lauren Cobb, and then I'm going to have the privilege to do myself, and then the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. Jon Kovach Jr. So without further ado, let's jump right into the speakers. We're going to start out with Miss Lauren Cobb, who's going to start us out with the principle on faith. Lauren, the floor is yours.
Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out at a breathtaking view. A vast expansion of possibility, but what lies behind you is your comfort zone. A safe place where things are predictable and familiar. In front of you is the unknown. The leap looks terrifying. But what if the leap is the bridge to your dreams? I remember the first time I ever went rappelling. I was a 15-year-old girl. I craved the adventure and a chance to be a leader. At girls' camp, there was a group of 15 of us girls that stood at the top of a 180-foot cliff. We had just come from the bottom of the cliff where we listened to and watched the instructor guide us on how to do this. Once we got to the top of the cliff, it was a completely different story. All of us stood there, dead silent. I took a big gulp. Not a breath, but a gulp. And I walked forward, terrified. Once I was hooked in, I turned around, squatted into seating position, and slowly started to go over the edge. Those first steps, I was shaking. I was terrified. The first 3 or 4 steps down, you have nothing holding you against. Nothing but gravity pulling you down. But I remember once I got over that big fear of taking my feet down 3 or 4 steps, I felt those ropes catch me. I was able to relax and I was able to recall the instructions given to us a few minutes before. Once I was able to enjoy that moment and know that I was in good hands, I made my way down with a smile on my face and a scream of happiness as I descended. But what do you do when you don't know if the rope will catch you? What do you do if you don't know if the rope is going to be there? That's where faith comes in. Faith is not just a belief in something bigger than yourself. It's an inner conviction to trust the process. Even when you can't see the full picture, it takes courage to take the first steps, even if you don't know where the path leads. As a mother and a business owner, I know what it feels like to face those moments of uncertainty. There were times when I felt torn between nurturing my family and pursuing my dreams. I'd ask myself, can I really do both? What if I'm not good enough for either? But then I realized the same love and determination I pour into my family, I could also use to fuel my dreams and my aspirations. Faith became my anchor, a reminder that I didn't have to choose one over the other. I could embrace both roles with purpose. So often, we hold ourselves back because of the what ifs and we let them cloud our vision. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm going to be judged? But here's the thing. What if you succeed? What if the dreams that you've planted in your heart are there for a reason? Faith allows you to shift the narrative. It says, what if it all works out? I'll never forget the good things that have come from stepping out of my comfort zone. At first, it felt uncertain and scary, but as I leapt into the unknown, as I took those more than 3 or 4 steps and let myself fall over the edge and know that I was in good hands because I had somebody cheering me on at the bottom, somebody else holding the rope, helping guide me, it's been amazing. I have found new friends who shared my passions. I found fresh possibilities that I never imagined would even come, and opportunities that aligned with my purpose. Growth does not happen in a safe zone. Growth happens when you take the leap, even if you're unsure of the landing. Each step has brought unexpected blessings that reinforce my faith. Faith in the process, faith in my abilities, and faith in a higher plan guiding me. Faith isn't about waiting for the perfect moment, it's about acting in spite of uncertainty. Think of a seed planted in the ground that's buried in darkness, with no visible signs of growth at first. But with time, water, and sunlight, it breaks through the soil and flourishes. That's what happens when you nurture your faith. Even in dark and unseen moments, something is growing within you. I want to challenge you that whatever your dream is, or whatever goal you have been putting off because the leap feels too big, maybe it's starting a new career, pursuing a passion, or even speaking your truth. Whatever it is, don't let fear paralyze you. Let faith propel you. Because here's the truth, you don't need to have the entire world figured out. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take your first step. You just need faith to move forward. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Doors that you never imagined would open begin to open. People who align with your purpose show up. Opportunities unfold. Faith doesn't make the journey easy, but it makes it possible. So take a deep breath, visualize your dream that's been whispering to you, then leap. Trust that you have everything you need to soar, because at the end of fear isn't just growth, and it's freedom. Freedom is worth every step of faith.
Thank you, Lauren, so much for training us on the principle of faith, because really it is a simple concept. And I love how Napoleon Hill, yourself, and as I go into mine and Jon goes into his, that we understand that faith is so simple. It's the thing that we do that pushes past the fear, past what's going on. So Lauren, thank you so much for your training. Now I have the wonderful opportunity to share with you my expertise and my experience that I've had with this principle of faith, and I'm very excited to do so. What if I told you that the difference between where you are and where you want to go is a simple desire? And then what if I told you that you've been playing on repeat through fear and doubt your entire life, and that the only step to bridge that gap is faith? I remember back when I was, goodness gracious, a ninth grader, and we were going to scout camp. Me and the boys going to scout camp, and it was at Flaming Gorge in Utah. I remember, if anyone who's been to Flaming Gorge, the rocks there are beautiful, and you're able to boat through these canyons. And oh my goodness, there are so many places in which you can jump off of a rock. I remember me and my friends would go up to this rock. It had to be, I don't know, 30, 40 feet in the air. But as we got up there, I'm not a person who thinks he's afraid of heights, but I'll tell you what, when I got up to that rock and I looked over the edge, that 40 feet plus my 6'3"ness, it seemed like an impossible jump. And my friends were on the side. They were pumping each other out. They were getting so excited. They're like, we got this, we got this. And I'm standing there thinking, I don't have this. And I feel so uncomfortable. And so one of my friends just ran off and landed in the water. And of course, we at the bottom, we had the boat and all the leaders were in the boat. But one by one, as my friends went, I stood up there scared. And I thought to myself, can I actually do this? Is this something that I could take the courage forward to make? And luckily, I had a friend next to me who we both were scared out of our pants, to which we're up there and everyone was cheering us on. And even some of the friends who already jumped off came right back up and did it again. And for 20, 30 minutes, me and my friend were up there wondering, can we make this leap? And it wasn't until I had this thought come into my mind to where I said, yeah, we can. Throughout my entire life, as I grew up with dyslexia, I realized that life is going to be hard for me for the rest of my life. Rest of my life, I'm going to be having this disorder that's going to be impacting me. And when people talk behind my back, whenever I have to read or write, I'm never going to be able to. And whenever I go to classes or meet with my friends, I know that they are smarter than I am simply because I was born with this dumb thing called dyslexia. And I saw it as a challenge over and over and over in my life until this one thought came into my mind, which I said, yeah, I think I actually can do this. And so as I sat there as a dyslexic and as I was up there in the canyon at Flaming Gorge, this thought came into my mind. And here it is. Willie, do the scary thing first, and then you can be scared. I don't know if you've ever had an impactful question like that, or impactful statement nonetheless. But when you have those moments, everything around you seems to freeze. You can hear your own breath. You can hear the little crickets or birds chirping. And that day, as I'm standing on top of that canyon, and at that time when I was sitting down, wondering how the heck I'm going to have hope in this world with this disorder that I was born with, I thought to myself, do the scary thing first, and then you can be scared. So with a leap of faith, I took that jump. I ran off, jumped, scared out of my life. And as gravity took over and plunged me to the water, I hit, went under, life jacket buoyed me up, and everything was fine. Sitting in that chair as a dyslexic, I said, I can make a difference. So I went out and became a speaker, an author, and a coach for dyslexics. And it was all from that thing of doing the scary thing first, and then you can be scared. This wonderful principle of faith that we learn about in Napoleon's Think and Grow Rich dives into just taking the step forward without knowing what's going to happen. And not doing it in a here's my dyslexia again, not doing it in a naive way. There's a word that starts with an I, not in a naive way to where you're not doing any research and you just jump in blindly with being like this. No, doing the research, praying about it, having that meditation of everything that's going on, setting up a plan, taking that step forward into the unknown. And I know that as I've gone out and became an award-winning speaker and participate in many speaking competitions, as well as gone out and became an author and had to sit down many a night, spending way too much time writing a chapter because it was just slow because of my dyslexia. And many times of when I was building a business, not knowing if I'm going to get a client, not knowing if it's going to bring in income, and not knowing if I'm going to be able to provide for my family. But knowing that from the simple plan and the simple step of faith that I take, that those things are going to work out. So I wanted to ask you, as a champion of your life, which you are a champion of your life, because you're the only one that can control your life. Of course, things are going to go around you, but you are the author. You are the one who is able to write your story. You're the one that's been given the God-given gift for your life to make the choices that you need to create the life that you want. So my question to you is this. What is it in your life in which that if you took a step of faith, if you took a step forward, big or small, that everything else that you've been worrying about will either be negated or matter very little? Whatever that one step is. I want you to consider that you have just been living on repeat of fear and doubt your entire life. And probably not even your entire life, but just for this moment that you've been living on repeat over and over and over again. And just like in a merry-go-round, where you can keep going over and over and over again, but how do you stop it? You pull that brake, you press the button for it to slow down. You need to press that button in your life, which it's taking that step into fear. As I wrap this up, if you know anything about fear, it paralyzes many of us. But it was something that I've learned that you might not know is that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is having fear, but still taking the steps forward. So just like Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, when he talks about faith, and just like in my story with in Flaming Gorge and sitting in the chair as a dyslexic, I want you to start taking those steps of faith. Start taking those steps into courage. Because I can tell you this, the moment that you do is the moment that you will feel courageous. The moment that you do is the first step that leads you into the thing that you want. Whatever that goal, vision, finish line, northern star, whatever that thing is that you're aiming for, it happens by a simple step. So I challenge you to find that one single thing that you need to take that step forward, big or small. Because when you do, you can start becoming the champion of your life. Become that champion, ignite that passion within you, ignite that fire that's going to push you forward, and take that first step. I want to thank you guys for letting me share my experience with each and every one of you. And now we're going to be able to hear from our final speaker, the wonderful Mr. Jon Kovach Jr., the founder and chairman of Champion Circle, who's going to wrap up this wonderful training for you champions about the principle of faith. Jon, the floor is yours.
In order to rise, you need to think high. As an 8-year-old, I spent my entire childhood dreaming of the day I could fulfill my family's destiny and legacy. That is a long held tradition by Kovaches to travel up into the wilderness, to climb up to our secret favorite lake. And from there, we would reap the benefits of fishing from our famous rocks and famous logs and enjoy the outdoors with our family. You may have heard a few stories already of the outdoors, and I'm excited to explain to you how I became who I am today because of something that came from repetition. You see, the 8-year-old me arrived at the foot of the mountains, preparing to endure the next 8-mile hike with my first experience ever backpacking. Well, as an unexperienced young man, I was completely unprepared for the journey ahead of me. I wanted to fulfill my family's tradition because attending the family sessions, being up at this lake and fishing from our secret spots, that is all my family ever talks about every year at the dinner table, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, and so forth. So I was really looking forward to this. But they did not ever tell me how hard the journey was. No one ever complained or said how hard this journey was. And when I got to the trailhead of this journey, all I could see was uphill. Like literally there was no downhill, no flats. It was literally a mountain before me. But I needed to fulfill my family's tradition. I wasn't even 100 steps into this journey when I realized this is something that's going to hurt a lot. And I did what every other 8-year-old would do. As the pain started to set in, as the blisters began, I started to whimper and whine. And from the wise counsel of my father, who grabbed me and cornered me off the trail for a moment, looked me in the eyes, and reminded me that complaining is never going to get you anywhere, but actually doing the work and doing the best you can will actually accelerate or help me to accomplish my goal. This reminder was a stern reminder that, hey, we can't go back to the car. You got to finish this trail anyways. But look, you're 8 years old. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So that's what I did. Believing I could get to the destination, I looked at the journey as one step at a time. And even though every step was excruciating and so difficult and painful, I realized that if I could take one step closer, I could achieve my destination. Is this starting to sound familiar? I mean, have you ever heard of the little engine who could? And as he traveled up the hill, he said, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And the repetition and creation of that belief and process created this belief that no matter what he could, when he did, he still said, I think I can. And he was then on the downhill and achieved his destination. Well, I didn't say, I think I can going up this hill. But with every step, I believed I could. And one step led to another step, led to miles, and leading to finally achieving my destination. So once arriving at my destination, I remembered one thing that my dad also shared with me about this journey when we were backpacking through this wilderness. He reminded me that, hey, not only do you need to finish the challenge by hiking up to our lake, but there's a tradition amongst the Kovach men that we encourage you to fulfill. And of course, I'm not going to leave behind legacy. I'm going to fulfill that too, because I looked up to my family. I looked up to my father. I look up to them, and I know that this is part of my destiny. And whatever crazy reasoning behind it, I knew that it would develop me into the human I was going to be in my future. That tradition was not only do we hike up to our favorite spot, our secret lake, and enjoy the riches of the wilderness, but when you do arrive, it is customary of the family to drop your pack and to head back down the trail to help those in need. And this tradition was one of the most difficult traditions, but as I turned around and reminded myself that I had finished my job, but now it is my job to help others, I quickly took my mind off of the need to finish the journey. And the I think I can mentality became the belief that I can do anything as long as I am in the service of others. What a powerful, powerful principle and tool. And yes, I sprinted down with as much energy as I could. And luckily, my dad wasn't too far behind this first go around as an 8-year-old, but it was a hard thing to do. I ran down the trail. I ran into my dad, not too far behind. I grabbed his backpack, which was way heavier than mine, by the way. And I'm so glad he wasn't too far behind. And I fulfilled my family's destiny. And every year since this, I have fulfilled that destiny. And every year, we always turn back. We always look to help the next person. And it has become a tradition among many. But besides tradition, let's talk about the power of repetition. In order to rise, you must think high, higher, higher than you ever have before. Napoleon Hill described faith in this book right here, Think and Grow Rich, as the visualization of and belief in the attainment of desire. The second step to riches is to believe it is possible. An old verse by Walter D. Wintle reads, You've got to think high to rise. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster person, but sooner or later, the person who wins is the person who thinks they can. It's not the person who's stronger, not the person who's better. It's the person who thinks they can. Faith can be described in Think and Grow Rich as the head chemist of the mind. And let me dive deep into that before you get all weird on me with science, okay? Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith blended by vibration of thought, all of our thoughts are communication vibrations, a frequency per se. The subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration. It translates it into its spiritual equivalent and transmits it to infinite intelligence. Let me try that again, because I think you need to understand that when the subconscious mind instantly picks up on vibration, it will translate it into its spiritual equivalent, and then it transmits it to the infinite intelligence. As in the case of prayer, meditation, affirmations, manifestation. Those are repetitions that are consistent among mankind. So repetition as an affirmation is how you create the orders to your subconscious mind. And by orders, I mean like literally writing down and submitting a help desk ticket. Like you want to create the orders, the commands, the top-down directions to your brain, to your subconscious mind. And then only in this method will the subconscious and your presence voluntarily develop the emotion and the confidence of faith. So have faith in yourself. Faith is the infinite. Have faith in the infinite. Have faith in the eternal. Have faith in something greater than yourself. Faith is beyond the existence of presence. Faith is much bigger. And if you think about it, faith is the belief and dream. Because whether you believe that there's a life after death, whether you believe that your family or the loved ones will all be together, whether you believe that faith will create powerful, powerful outcomes, that is the infinite telling you that there is something beyond what we do. So having faith in yourself, faith in the infinite. Before we begin on anything, we should be reminded again that faith is the eternal elixir which gives life power and action to the impulse of thought. Napoleon Hill taught us, and I actually co-authored with so many really cool people on the power of faith in the book, The 13 Steps to Riches, honoring faith. I want you to take note of these affirmations, okay? Because these ones can help you understand the importance of faith. And I encourage you to read these out loud daily, maybe a second time, a third time, even a fourth time, if it helps. Here it is. Faith is the eternal elixir that gives life power and action to the impulse of thought. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches. Faith is the basis of all miracles and all mysteries, which the rules of science cannot analyze. Faith is the only antidote for failure. Faith is the element, the chemical, which when mixed with prayer, affirmation, or manifestation, gives one direct communication with infinite intelligence. Faith is the element that transforms the ordinary vibration of thought created by the created by the finite mind of man into the spiritual infinite equivalent. And finally, faith is the only agency and avenue through which people can harness and use the cosmic force of infinite intelligence. Every one of these are foregoing statements, and they are capable of proof, is what Napoleon Hill taught. So I know that's a lot of fancy wordage. I know that's a lot of information, but truthfully, faith is built on belief. Belief is developed through confidence and repetition. And so if you know anything about me, Jon Kovach Jr., and the reason why I created Champion Circle is because we develop faith through the repetition and the confidence of focusing on the things that will create the best outcomes for ourselves, aka also helping us achieve our desires. So repetition is key, and it is the key to irreplaceable faith. Repetition is your only avenue to consistency so that you can achieve your ultimate desires, because faith will create anything you desire. Your desire will point your faith in the direction of discipline and action. So as you take this call to your own action, remind yourself that your desires, your faith, your goal, whatever it might be, repeat it daily as if it is your personal mission to accomplish it, to acquire it, to have it, to be in possession of it. And that, my friends, will develop a deeper, stronger, more powerful faith than anything beyond. Thank you.
And thank you, Jon, so much for the wonderful training. And thank you for such a great wrap up of this principle faith that Napoleon Hill explains so freaking well. Does it so well. Thank you, champions, for being here. And that wraps up this training as the second month of the year, as we jump into each principle from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Faith. You got to take faith, take those steps forward, go past the fear and doubt, believe in yourself and move forward. And as you do, you'll have the power to create what you want. Each of you are amazing. Go out and follow the challenges that our speakers gave you. And always remember that you are the ones who are able to make it happen. So go out and make it happen. Thank you for being on the training, and we'll see you on the next one.